This is my audience for today. Emotional emergencies can happen quietly, but the impact they have can be very life changing. Just recall, when was the last time you told someone, I'm tired, or I'm just fine, or I'm just stressed? Did you really mean it? Or was it your way of saying, I'm barely holding it together? Well, most of us cannot tell when somebody's having an emotional crisis because we simply don't know what to look for, or we don't have the proper knowledge to offer that help. However, how many more of these silent emergencies are we willing to miss? With the rising cases of anxiety, depression, and mental health illnesses, it is essential for us to require college students to participate in an emotional first aid training that will help them learn to respond, recognize, and prevent some of these emotional emergencies across the school campus. Well, I have come to realize that a lot of the times we overlook emotional pain, but it's simply because we don't know what to look for because we aren't trained to do that. Just like when somebody cuts themselves, we know to get a band-aid and help them. But not when it comes down to emotional pain, which is why I have searched for evidence and information that highlights the importance of this issue and why we should find a solution for it. We have all felt stressed, overwhelmed, and sometimes even emotionally drained. And we all know somebody who has dropped out of a class, has had a burnout moment, or simply has had a rough entire year. Well, obtaining emotional first aid training could help us change this, and we can provide a better supportive environment for these students. When students struggle, the first people they tend to turn to are friends, which means any one of us could be the first person someone turns to in a moment of crisis. Today, I will explore the growing problem of emotional crisis among college students, explore the causes behind the rise, and present how emotional first aid training can be a helpful solution for this problem. Let's begin by looking at the statistics. Students are being affected by emotional mental health crisis at high rates. In a website, Safe Supportive Learning ed.gov, written in March 2023 by Inside Higher Education, stated, in the annual survey, which received responses from 96,000 students across 133 campuses for the school year of 2021 and 2022, reported 44% of these students reported symptoms of depression. 37 of them had experienced some type of anxiety, and 15% said they had seriously considered suicide, which is the highest rate that the survey has seen in its 15 years of history. As these rates continue to rise, we will continue to see this problem and the significant effects it has on college students. This is why we need to have mental health support systems and programs that will help these students overcome these problems. Many factors are actually the causes of emotional crisis in students. In the BMC Public Health November 2025 article published by Faraka, the university period is characterized by psychosocial pressures, which include transition to independence, public academic demands, and uncertainty about the future that create conditions for mental health difficulties. So, as you can imagine, these students are carrying heavy burdens that sometimes are being carried in silence, so we don't see or hear about them. According to an article found in the National Allies of Mental Health by Kevin Singer and Sam Broback, published in June 2022, it states, the problem arises when schools simply default to a crisis response that is inconsistent and frankly doing more for this college image than for the well-being of its students. Lana, a 22-year-old university student, stated. What we really need is a crisis prevention. So why wait till we come across situations that are impossible to ignore when we can make something to prevent them in the first place? Requiring students to take emotional first aid training will give students the skills needed to handle emotional distress and help others when they go through those moments as well. As explained in the College Student Journal in January 2023 by April Berry and John Friend, though peer support is not seen as a replacement for traditional psychotherapy, it has been found to embrace clients' positive outcomes, empowerment, hope, and self-efficacy more than traditional services alone. It would allow students to know step-by-step responses, listening strategies, grounding techniques, and when they should refer somebody to a professional help. Similar programs have been conducted throughout many college campuses, and they have already seen positive outcomes. Based on the article published in the Advances in Mental Health, March 2021, by Rogers, Burns, and Crawford, states that there was a mixed method study conducted to see how a mental health first aid training program that was developed in Australia helped students develop an awareness, understanding, and knowledge of mental health. Participants were past and present 18-year-old students 18-year-old or older students who had attended the Western University of Australia. This article showed the role that the program had on real life situations. 92.6% of students were confident in helping somebody with a mental health problem, and 88.7% of students who had offered help to someone experiencing a mental health problem indicated that the program had been very helpful. Students showed a higher level of emotional intelligence, built stronger relationships and trust as they participated and learned in this mental health first aid training program. If other universities have been seeing successful impact, it becomes impossible to ignore the impact it could have on requiring students to take this emotional first aid training program amongst all other college campuses as well. If not all, most students will experience some type of emotional distress, and it will affect their learning and well-being during their college life. These emotional crises are increasing, and we need to understand that not only the why of why it's happening, but we need to be proactive in providing a way for these emotional crises to stop, or to at least be able to prevent serious ones from continuing to happen. And this will only happen if we encourage and give the right tools to these college students. By providing this emotional first aid training program, we will help campuses build an environment that empowers students to respond and would even prevent serious emotional emergencies. In moments when someone around us is breaking down, it's not a moment to be a bystander. Giving students the tools to respond to emotional emergencies won't just improve college life for them, but uplift entire communities. If emotional first aid training can change lives, then isn't it time we make it a priority for our students?